Welcome to the first section of your Nutrition 2.0. So it's really important before we move forward that we look backwards, because each and every one of you, including myself very much, has a narrative when it comes to food, when it comes to your relationship with food, your nutrition, and how you fuel your body. Not just now, but like I'm talking right from the beginning. Yep, right from the beginning. Too much pressure on parents here, but there is so much evidence coming out on the way that, we were even like weaned or fed as toddlers, or the language that was around us as children. It really affects the way that we approach our nutrition and fuel our bodies as adults. But the great thing about a narrative is that, yes, you have your narrative up until this point, but your narrative for the rest of your life is absolutely not written. And the whole point of this She Collective journey, right, is that we are aiming towards this place of peace. So we can start rewriting that narrative today. And that does not mean going into your snack drawer and, throwing out all the chocolate and, not saying no to going out on the weekend. It is about rewriting the way that we are approaching things, because so much of what has happened is that because we have these quite extreme views, or we've been told to do this and that, and it all becomes so confusing, we kind of feel that we're in this place of where we're on the wagon or off the wagon when it comes to our food. And then when we fall off that wagon, we can do it quite spectacularly with loads of self-sabotage. So it's really important that we are going to recognize the emotions, and we're going to recognize what has come into play up until this point. It's not like if you were having relationship counseling that you would go, okay, so from this day on, we're just going to get on. No, you wouldn't. You'd have to work through the problems that were there before. Because if you don't, what's going to happen is they're going to creep up and they're going to bite you on the ass. And I don't want to be bitten on the ass. I don't know about you. So girls, this is going to be a little bit of a different approach. So what I want you to do is I want you to start we're going to start with that process of recognizing the past and doing that unlearning. So I want you to take a moment to think about, what were the conversations? What is like your first memory around food? Or what were those conversations that you can remember that happened around food, and maybe particularly around food and weight? Was there somebody in your house that was always on a diet? Or did you have a grandparent that made really, nasty remarks? Or can you remember somebody at school saying something? For some of you, this won't relate, but I think probably most of us, it can, right? We are millennials, Gen X's, we were part of that toxic diet culture. So it's really important that we recognize that a lot of the way that you feel about it, you're not a failure, okay? There is nothing wrong with you. You've basically been brainwashed for about 20 years plus. And so it's not surprising that there are going to be some aspects that you feel that you've just been stuck in toxic cycles with. So pause if you need to, but have a think about your childhood and about the narratives that were starting then. Maybe, were you underweight, overweight, whatever it might be? When did you start to notice that relationship between food and your body? So now we're going into those sort of, oh my goodness, I have to take a deep breath when I say it, teen years, right? Teen years, so tough. So in your teen years, I want you to start to think now, what happened when you started to get into relationships? Was there, were you thinking about food then? Did you find that it was starting to become something that became, was it used as a reward or a punishment or whatever it may be? And then we're not just thinking about when we're teenagers and we're thinking about food. Obviously, when we're teenagers, maybe there were in those later years, or in my case, far too young years, alcohol came into a play, whatever it might be. So it's in those patterns of destruction and reward. I remember those hangovers and just feeling like it's just a free pass to just literally devour as much crap as possible in the space of like the next 12 hours when you wake up, whatever it might be, And then as we move through into those later teen years, what was starting to come into a play? Because now really it might have been younger for you. I'm sure, in fact, I know it was for me. But then we've got, and now we're coming earlier and earlier, we've got media coming into play, right? You've got the people that you're looking up to, the people that you are aspiring to, those body types. Kate Moss saying nothing tastes as good as skinny. Well, it sure as hell does, doesn't it? But there's no wonder that we're looking around us for that sense of validation. I actually even did my dissertation on this at uni when I did sociology, the effects of that toxic diet culture, those celebrity magazines. And I tell you now, when I did those tests for that dissertation and I got women reading them, and then we tested their anxiety afterwards, the results were so shocking, so shocking. And I just need you to recognize what you have seen and what you have been subjected to and how that has played into your life. Now, at this point, when we're coming into this sort of adult years, right? And we've got the media, we've also got those layers that have been before, right? You've got those narratives that have happened as a child. Maybe you've got those influences in your life within your family who are saying, maybe they're talking about being fat, maybe they're on a diet, whatever it may be. These are all layers. They're all coming into play. So inside you, you've already got several narratives that are just working as a spiral, gaining momentum. And then we come and we're trying to find ourselves as adults, right? We're trying to find where we fit into the world so that we're fun, right? So we're fun and we're going out and maybe, we're drinking and we're eating and we're all of that. But we've also got to look like that person, that celebrity that you're aspiring to look like. So you also got to look like that, and you've got to show up in your relationships. And then maybe as we're coming into older adults, then we're having these huge changes hormonally. So we really don't take into play what's happening within our bodies. So whether it's as a teenager and you're going through puberty and you're watching your body change, or whether it becomes that in your 20s that metabolism starts to change, or it's you're having children, you're watching your body change, all of these things become a battle. So your body and your mind has become a battleground. But this is absolutely no surprise, right? How is this a surprise to any of us? Like, I just thought there was something wrong with me. Why can I not just wake up and be satisfied with a black coffee for breakfast? Because I have an appetite, because I have an appetite for life. So we've got to start to recognize that there is nothing wrong with us. There have been a lot of things at play. It has all got churned up. And now it's time to start recognizing them and to start giving ourselves some grace. With giving ourselves some grace, there's going to be something that is going to be really important. We're going to have to think about what is the goal here. Because for you, like I say, understandably, nutrition may all be about achieving a certain weight. Now, we need to kind of flip the script here, okay? Because firstly, there's two things at play. The weight that you may be aiming for may be associated to, like, in inverted commas, that picture, right? I think the majority of us have a picture or a time in our lives that we associate with being so much happier because we were the perfect body shape. And so, you want to get to that certain weight. But the thing is that for 90% of us, firstly, that might not be achievable at all, even if you really restricted yourself or whatever it may be. But secondly, that weight is probably not your hormonally happy weight. And your hormones, as I will explain in another section, are at the center of all of this. So if you haven't got happy hormones, you are going to have a low sex drive, you're going to have low energy, and actually you're not even going to be able to see yourself in the light that you are looking great, other than, maybe appreciating that that external validation, because you are going to feel so sort of lethargic and not great in yourself. So accepting that maybe the goal is slightly different to what you thought is going to be a hard one to get your head round. But let's flip the script, right? So I want you to actually start to get excited about what a different goal could look like. Because the thing is, when we take this approach that we are focusing on our well-being over weight loss, you are literally winning from day one, right? If you are feeding your body with fuel that is going to help your energy, help your hormones, within like 48 hours, you're feeling differently. So if we attach it to a metric, then, it may be that the weight doesn't shift on the scales because you're gaining muscle, whatever it might be, or you have a big weekend and then you get on the scales, or you're due your period and suddenly this metric has destroyed your head of thinking, this is great, I'm doing really well. So this is why I say to you, bin the scales. Let's change the focus, and trust me, if you focus on this goal of finding a place of peace, you are far more likely to achieve goals, even if they are weight loss based. Okay. So I need you to come with me now, and we're going to do a little bit of visualization. We've talked about you as a child. We've talked about you as a teenager, maybe changing bodies as when we, some of us are becoming mothers, whatever it may be. And now I want to be forward focused. It's really important. So you're recognizing those stories. You're almost thanking yourself for that. But now we're going to move forward. So if you can, this may be one that you want to pause if you're out on a walk or wherever it may be, because I would love for you just to take a moment and settle into your body and close your eyes, and we're going to do a short visualization. So just take a couple of moments to settle, closing down your eyes if you can, and just take a couple of deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. And I want you to start to imagine yourself standing at the top of a staircase. And this staircase leads down into a beautiful garden. It's a day in May. It's just that warm sunshine, warm enough to sit in a t-shirt, but all of that beautiful spring colour and sounds are all around you. And as you walk through this beautiful garden, you see a bench. And you go to it and you sit down and you feel the warmth of that sunshine and you listen to that bird song. And as you are sitting there and settling, you spot something in the distance. It's a little girl. And as she comes closer to you, you start to see the outline and you start to recognize this outline. You start to recognize the features. It's you as a little girl. Now I want you to encourage her to come and sit next to you. And as she slowly does, I want you to put your arm around her. I want you to make her feel safe. And I want you to tell this little you what she needs to hear. What does she need to hear to find a place of peace when it comes to her body, when it comes to food? She's not in those teen years yet. What do we need to know to stop that pain and find that peace? Take that time, say what needs to be said. And as you do this, you spot somebody else through the corner of your eye. Now, this is somebody you don't recognize. But as she comes closer, she seems familiar. She's very, very old. But she's also very beautiful. And as she comes really close and begins to speak, your heart swells as you realize it's you at 90 years old. The 90-year-old you slowly approaches the bench and sits next to you and little you. Now she puts her arm around you. Now I want you to take a moment and think about what she has got to say to you. She's at the end of the journey. There is no more time. No more time to rewrite stories. No more time to worry. And I want you to think about what she has to say to you about what you need to do right now to find that place of peace. So just take a moment and listen to what she's got to say. And as you sit here with little you and older you, I want you to recognize that you are right in the middle of this journey. That right now, you have the power to take back control. You may not be able to go and rewrite the story for that little girl, but you can start to rewrite your story for that older version of you. So as you slowly say your goodbyes, I want you to think about one thing that you are going to take away today that you are going to start to implement in this future chapter of you. So say those goodbyes and very, very slowly take a deep breath in through your nose, out through your mouth, opening those eyes and coming back to the present moment. Now, that will have been a totally different experience for some of you. Some of you, it will be really emotional. Some of you, you'll be like, what the heck was that about? But visualization is unbelievably powerful, right? It has been shown it's scientifically powerful. And I really want you to get to grips with the fact that that next chapter is unwritten. So what is really exciting is whilst we can recognize what has come into a play from this point previously, we now get to make the decision about how we get forward. You are in the right place. You are doing the right thing. But we have got to shift the focus from weight loss to well-being. So I really hope that you found some of that helpful. I shall see you in the next lesson and take away some of those learnings from today and really try and hold them close to your heart. Have a great day and see you soon.